welcome to Sacred Consciousness with your host, artist, and paranormal researcher, Malia Rideout. Aloha! Welcome to my channel, Sacred Consciousness. Thank you for joining me. I have been on vacation, or rather, visiting my newly born grandchild in Pennsylvania. It's a very proud moment. I'm a grandma, so it just shows you can still be fabulous and be a grandma, right? And welcome to my channel. And I won't delay much longer because I have missed a few months that I really wanted to get back to everyone. I had started from, the story of Admiral Byrd and Maria Orsic and World War II. We were going to get into that. But I've kind of felt like lately I've missed a couple of moments where I could have updated you a little sooner. So I might just go straight to the point and give you a really cool crash course in like what I feel is going on right now. And so bear with me. I'm just going to go, raw and off cuff and without rehearsal of any kind. And that's usually how I like to rock it anyway. So join me for this little deep dive into our cosmic heritage, the cosmic wars, and the event that it is about to take place, that is a pole shift. So I do want you to know, as above, so below. And if you don't know what that means, it means that you need to go do some research on the 7 laws of the universe. These are the Hermetic teachings, and I will go over those in a deep dive because they're very important. And it's 7 laws that the universe follows, and it is very articulate, and you can just go Google it, really. The Hermetic laws, the words of Thoth and Hermes Trismegistus, and it takes so many more forms and names, just as you will understand later that these beings take on many forms, and they are higher elders. They're full of information. They're not our gods. They are not anything above us. They're just beings that know a lot because they've transcended time, space, and learned the metaverse, and learned how the cosmos works, and how they can transcend actual physical evolution and become etherical and be able to transpose into a light being at will and travel the metaverse at will and reincarnate into any form that they want. And so this is something that we'll be going over and discussing a little bit of. But like I said, I'm going into some very deep dives and trying to get through a little quicker because I feel like I've been gone for a while, and I would like to go into how these cosmic wars have been going on for millions of years, and much like Star Wars and all the different sci-fi movies that we've been being showed, The Matrix, even into Avatar and Star Trek. All of these are actually taken from these ancient tablets, the cuneiform Sanskrit scrolls. The Gnostics knew of this matrix, and the matrix was not just invented in the 90s by one person just making a movie. These are small disclosures and soft disclosures that we're able to be given through the matrix, basically, and through people who are discovering the codes of how to decipher it. And it is a very strange kind of universe that we do dwell in, and this world is a very special but very strange place that is intersected by different dimensions, as well as we are a binary star system. That means that we have 2 suns. We have our gold or yellow dwarf star, which is our sun that we know of. And then we also have another star system that comes in, and we rotate with it. It comes and merges through our system, and it is known as Planet X, but it's also just not just one planet. It's actually a sun. We're called a binary star system, and our scientists really haven't really told us much about it because they don't either want us to know, and they do know, or they are still figuring it out themselves, which it could be either way. But we do have a lot of information from ET species that have been interacting with our world for quite a while now. Parts of the elements of our military are aware of them and have been working with them as well. And these elements have been using their technology as DEW weapons, as nuclear weapons, as bioweapons for some time to influence humanity and keep us kind of dumbed down and naive and in war and fight or flight. So this fight or flight mentality is what keeps a being in a state conditioning of slavery. So if you want to break out of the slavery, you must figure out what's going on. And through our past, we can see what is happening to the future. And we even have, stories in the Bible and in the Sanskrit scrolls that were found in 1945 in areas that were near the deserts of Egypt and between the Dead Sea as well. And these were scrolls that were hidden in jars and that were just accidentally found by shepherds that stumbled upon them through, losing their sheep or whatever, something happening to where they found them just by accident. And in these scrolls derived this very deep story, and it even backs up this story of Jesus, as a messenger telling us that this world is somewhat of a matrix. It is a world that is being influenced by many levels, dimensional as well as physical, as well as extraterrestrial. So, the human is a hybrid. We are a part of several different species that have been interacting and hybriding the human race. There is an original template of the human, the Lyran Palladian template that came directly from the Pleiades, and you'll hear of the Mayans, Aztec, Hawaiians, many of these cultures referring to this template, as well as the Germans, Nordics, and many Swedish, many civilizations, Polynesians, refer to being from the star systems of the Seven Sisters of Pleiades. I really resonate with this as well. We also refer to the Egyptian petroglyphs, revealing that we have many different civilizations that have become part of the human race, as well as visiting the Earth Terra, which was a part of the core of Maldek, which was destroyed in one of the swipes of this binary star system and one of its planets coming very close. It's looked at as that it could have been a war with this planet that was a takeover, where the planetary species was trying to take over this water planet that was known as Maldek or Tiamat, and it was now known as the iron bracelet or the asteroid belt that is between Earth and Mars. And we believe that Earth is actually the core of Maldek, that we composited itself with its gravity field because the core was intact enough to pull in as much material matter, as well as leaving a whole asteroid field known as the hammered bracelet. That is, you can see this very clearly from a good telescope, and it's recorded that there is an asteroid belt between the Earth and Mars. And Mars has a huge scratch on it as well that looks like some kind of either, some kind of star impact happened, or a large scratch that looked like a crater, but scratched along a whole part of the region of Mars. Mars also was recorded to have water long ago and be an Earth-like planet, and may have been possibly a victim of nuclear war as well. So we see that nuclear power is not something that the Earth humans, Terrans, have invented. They were given this technology by but not benevolent, but malevolent species. And malevolent species are out there as well. They make out to probably 73%, 72% of the population of the physical realms where Earth can interact with them. They are more etherical and of higher levels, and we can go on some more deep dives about those. And they do interact and known as angels or guides, spiritual guides. They do incarnate as humans from time to time, like Buddha, Jesus, Krishna. There's a lot of very amazing little versions of these higher realmed beings incarnating into a human life force and existing among us, as well as ET groups. And I will say, one of my favorite shows to give you guys a little update, to give it a little bit of humor if you're having to talk to friends and family about these things and they don't quite understand, go watch Resident Alien. It is a really good version of what is going on as far as, you know, the ET groups, the way our government's relationship is with them, the hits on people who are disclosure people and trying to figure these things out, and you know, a lot of the dynamics of being an interdimensional being as well as being a physical incarnate and taking on a physical form, and going into hybridization, the grays and all that. It's really funny. I really reside with Max, the child who can see, even if you're human, what your hybrid or alien being is hiding behind the veil. So I very much reside with that, and I'll go deeper into why I do reside with that and what percentage of us have that ability to see through the veil. So no matter what disguise you're wearing, you know, we should be being used right now and utilized, and I'm sure the government does do that, but you know, we're not really being told about that. But it is a blessing curse that I live with and reside with, and I'm very glad that Alex today has been able to reciprocate this knowledge in a funny way. So all of his work is very funny. So you got to understand, who is he and how could he relate so much to us? And I also really want to commend all those researchers and people who are outspoken right now, because it does take a lot of gusto, and we are really ridiculed and we're really judged. And it's not been an easy venture. I've had my information and research suppressed by numerous people and podcasters and people out there who are just afraid, I guess, of what I say. And what I say is the truth, as much as I can tell you with my amount of research. And I do use my own experiences. I do use more than 3 different sources to come to a conclusion along with my own experiences. And that's what I think good research is also not going to what you wish was the truth and to what is the truth. Because I used to think that all civilizations, if they got to be spacefaring and be able to interplanetary, were all very benevolent, and I always thought that they had evolved past wars. And then as I researched, you know, the cuneiform tablets, Epic of Creation, the Sanskrit scrolls, I'm finding out these highly advanced technological civilizations go you know, to planets and take over the species, and they inbreed into the species so much, or enslave the species, or just decide to destroy the planet and use all of its elements and then use it as a Death Star, so that if they destroy the core, you know, they start kind of with the inhabitants who are caring for the planet. They create so much hysteria, war, and inner conflict between the species that they start to self-combust. And if the species doesn't catch on in time, it will actually be parasited into extinction. And it's happened to many human civilizations, human-like civilizations, Lyran, Palladian, Octurian. There are amounts of civilizations out there that if you opened your mind, you wouldn't be as afraid. You'd actually be very happy that there are other civilizations who have made it past this time in space and time in their evolution, that they can choose to either become peaceful and of service to others, and as well as their civilization and the whole of the universe, and become cosmic and you know, level 5, level 7, level, you know, 13, or they can decline and they can decrepitate themselves into extinction, or they can be hybrided or controlled over, and they can literally be parasited into another creature, which wouldn't be them at all. It will be the taking over species as well as a little bit of the human left, just so it could inhabitate that world and be able to exist in that world. So if you want to be a little robot, or you want to be a parasited species, you know, you can look into strange shows like They Live, and you can look into Google these movies. Invasion of the Body Snatchers was a good one. The first one, and the more relevant second one with Kim, or some of the people that are just modern, you know, little versions of that. Where, yeah, I won't say names because they literally come from the family, the stars that are actually doing that. So in my opinion, so I won't go into who they are, but we do know them as high-end actors and, you know, people of influence. So I'm just, you know, telling my piece and letting you know we are in a binary star system here. This new rotation is happening. It happens every 3,600 years. And this binary star system with a dual sun, it comes in our yellow dwarf. It comes in and merges with Nibiru and their star system with planets and another sun that is a red dwarf, or a red. I don't know if it's a red dwarf. It's actually very large compared to our sun, and so is Nibiru compared to our planets. Probably the size of Saturn or Jupiter. However, comes in every 3,600 year cycles, but every 13,000 years we have a large swerve because we're going in a elliptical circle, not a regular circle. So elliptical is a little bit more of an oval. So when it swipes, it keeps swiping a little different each time, each rotation, but every third swipe is about every 12,000 years to 13,000 years. And when that occurs, we have a big flood. We have a flood every 6,000 years, about every two swipes, and then we have another, or 72,000, 7,200 years. But then every third cycle, it becomes a little more. And this cycle will cause floods, volcanic eruptions, pole shifts of many kinds. It's been recorded, but many civilizations are very young as far as recording it because of the fact that they've been wiped out. And a lot of their history has been buried, basically, by these occasional events that take place. I will let you know every 26,000 years, roughly, when it's about the fourth cycle of the big ones, like the second. So 13, so it happens every 3,600 years. And that goes into every 13,000 years. It becomes a bit more. So it's like the third cycle. It just becomes much rougher because of the way it's wobbling towards us. And then if you double that, it actually comes every 26,000 years, and it actually wipes out most of civilization, and it creates a crust pole shift. The sun has an effect on half of the world, melting all the poles at once when we're doing our pole shift. The other side of the world will survive. So just depending on what side of the world you're on, I guess, go to high areas that are above 1,000 feet. At least I would go to 2 to 5,000 feet. I'm at 4,000 feet. I won't say exactly where, but I will let you know I'm at the top of a volcano that is about as high as you can get from sea level, on the big island of Hawaii. And I do love my Aina, my place that I live here. But we do have areas all over the world that we can find safety in. Just being aware of what's going on with the floods going on and the volcanic activities. There's a lot of heightened energy. We're going through wars. These wars are not what you think, of course. You probably may have put that together, but they are not just about territory or nuclear weapons. Nuclear weapons have been here for thousands of years, given to us by ETs, and we've been using wars as far as the government to manipulate our economy and to cull populations and to wipe out certain ethnic groups. It is a use that we have been having to be victims of for quite a while as humans and Terrans and Starseeds. Whoever you are here, you're affected by the wars, and it is as above as below. Again, one of the cosmic rules of the universe. So we do have these beings that are higher evolution. I wouldn't say gods, but they do portray themselves as Yahweh sometimes, Jehovah. Even they will portray as demigods, but also you'll know them as mystic kind of people that you've heard, like Jesus, Buddha, and Poseidon. And these beings are certain beings who have very, very long lifespans and have learned how to incarnate into a human body. And they're very mystic, and they're trying to, some of them teach us, as well as some of them are trying to keep us from knowing the know-how of how to do this ourselves as a human. So if we can bypass our traumas and learn to love with our hearts and learn to, the same story as Jesus said, basically love, each other and thy neighbor and as thy brother. But also you don't tolerate when you see evil. And it doesn't matter if it's a family member, it doesn't matter if it's a friend, but you have to stand for what you do believe in. And it's not a judgment, it's how you feel that the human needs to bypass whatever is trying to integrate itself into our parasite, onto our human genome. And there are two evil factors that are trying to do this. They have high technology and high influence in parts of our government and corporations. So don't trust just everything you hear. Understand that there's a personality behind this, and you've seen it during World War II, and you do know that it doesn't care about human lives, and you can identify it that way. It only cares about its survival, and it is very Zionist. So, there's a pattern to it, and it is not human. So if you have compassion and love, you can bypass this by just being aware of it. If you're not aware of it and you just go with the sheep and what you feel is safe, then you will be pulled into it, and it will take you and your family over. And it has no mercy, just like the Terminator. It doesn't care who you are. You think you're going to get okay with it, but it's just using you. So if you stand up to it and you don't accept it as a parasitic creature that is trying to hijack your race, and you stand up for who you are as a human, we can get through this, because there is a lot of aid out there in the cosmos for beings who stand up for their race. And if you don't, and you do want to be taken over by this evil satanic thing that is trying to take over your race, you can go right along with it, because you can identify it pretty easy. It has no compassion, has no mercy. It doesn't try to love you or anyone else. It just loves itself and its own survival. And if you're like that, you may have a little parasite in you, and you may need to check yourself. And if you're not like that, you may know people who are in your family and friend list that are like that. And unfortunately, you can't save everyone. You can only allow people to save themselves. And kind of like what Jesus said, I am not your savior. I'm your brother, and I'm teaching you what you can do to lift yourself away from this world of chaos and this matrix. So this is only one level, or the third level of your survival, and you used to be a mineral and an animal and a vegetable. So try figuring out how to be a human and graduate eventually from even that to becoming a higher enlightened being of light, which you could use to teach the universe and go into different realms and travel the metaverse. It's an amazing thing that everyone learns to do as you grow as an individual. And everybody is at their own levels, and you can't force these things on anyone. So if you don't have people in your life that are understanding what you're going through, understand that there are people who do, and we're all going through it on our own, and try not to hold, a grudge on those who won't listen. And you want to save everybody, but they do have to save themselves. And that was one of my hardest lessons is, I want to save my family and friends. And sometimes you do need to let some people go on their own journeys and learn on their own lessons. So I'm just here to encourage those who are on their journeys to keep at it. And I'm right there with you. I totally am learning along the way, but I'm also keeping my eyes open, and I'm doing my own research. And when I see something that's of a truth, I do want to share it with people who want to listen, and that's why I did this channel. So even though I don't really care how many people like go and look at it, it's more for me to state what's going on as a journal and as I go and learn, because I'm a contactee. I've been in contact since I was a very young child, and my beings are pure, a platelet of human, and they're very beautiful beings, a very beautiful template, and they're proud to share the information with me, to share it with you. And even though this time is of hard times and not everyone is listening, those of you who are listening, that's what it's for. It's for those who are listening and with eyes to see and ears to hear. And with the telepathy to understand and to reach out to your own star friends, family. And, we're not all just pure, just human Terrans. We're incarnates and we're star seeds, and we're all, as human as we can be, because the human is not just on this planet. It's everywhere. It's all over the solar system. It's on different planets here. And it's in different dimensions, and it's in different planets all over the universe. So don't think that you are special. Don't think you're not. But you come from a special race that is everywhere, is seated in so many places. So instead of feeling like we're all alone, it would be really neat to start to realize that we're not. We're actually part of a large family of the human genome. And even though some of the planets get hijacked and some don't survive their own evolution due to their own war or being influenced by a darker, malevolent species, they do get taken over, and some don't make it. But I really hope for the human race they can kind of snap to. There seems to be a lot of awakening going on, but it is up to us to also look to ourselves, be brave and speak out. Don't just think that somebody else should speak out for you. I hate taking the heat, and I don't mind doing it because I will do it. But at the same time, I do get a lot of ridicule, and it's okay. I get a lot of suppression of my information, but I do know that eventually the right people will be hearing the information. And I know that they're all coming out of the woodwork because we're just kind of sick of it, and we really want to help to communicate. We're the ambassadors right now. We're those who are not afraid. So once again, I'll bring this to an end, but thank you for joining me with Sacred Consciousness. And I hope that all of your consciousness is sacred, and that you are having a good journey on your journey and keeping the faith, because we are an amazing species and we're resilient, and we can get through these hard times. And sometimes there is an illusion happening just to bring you down to that fight or flight stage. And if we can bypass that illusion, we can find that we can hold our own truths, and we can speak our truths, and we can not be afraid, because those who have come here do, some want the best for us, but they also want us to understand that we're special, and we need to take initiative and not just think something else should come in and save us. So we need to learn to save ourselves, be brave. Don't just think of yourself, think of everyone else that's around you. Because when you just think of your own survival, you prove to the world and to those who are watching that you are of serving thyself. And I hate to say it, but in order to get to the higher realms, we have to be of service to others. And through learning this, we become less selfish. We bypass wars. We bypass trying to have authority over others, and we look at each individual person with a lot of love and respect. And we see each heart as a heart that we need to help us evolve. And everyone has their own special reason for being here. So once again, I'm Malia Rideout, and I thank you for taking a moment out of your busy day and enjoying what I have to say, even if it's a little bit brunt. And like I said, we'll go into some deep dives over what I've said, and that'll be interesting and fun. but I do want you all to prepared for this large event that is going to take place between 2025 and 2027. It may last to 2030, but it will be a pole shift. And I do believe that we are going to experience a Noah's Ark flood and a lot of activity with our volcanoes, which we're already seeing a lot of flooding activities with our volcanoes. We're having a lot of influence by higher realms of technology that our government is using as well, with DW weapons and a lot of brain to skull influences. So, stand up, light workers, and stay strong and understand your truth and hold strong. And much mahalos for joining me here in Hawaii. And I send you much aloha. And I love you all for listening, and take care of yourself till the next time I'm able. Aloha.